Welcome to the Orange Flag Podcast. It's COTA Race Week. I'm Austin.
I'm Aries.
I'm Nicole. And there was a bunch of sports car racing going on this weekend, but not so much in maybe the major races or series that I think people are watching. There was no IMSA, there was no WEC, there was no ELMS. There was the 24 Hours of Zolder, which I'm not sure that anybody but me watched. Or actually, that's a lie. Me and like the 3 Kevin Estre fans that I was talking to online during it. It's a like multi-class 24-hour race in Belgium at the Zolder circuit, which if you are a Lawrence Vantor fan, you will have heard of because he lived like on the track until he moved to Spain. And Kevin and Lawrence both did the GTC class, which is Porsche Cup cars, like the same cars they use in Super Cup and Carrera Cup. So, like, they must have heard me talking about Lauren Heinrich driving so many different Porsches throughout the season, and they're like, we're gonna do one better. We're gonna drive an entirely different class. Like, he's driving a bunch of GT3Rs.
Yeah.
We are going to drive 3 different classes of Porsches. Because they're obviously doing 963s, they're doing GT3Rs. Now they're doing GT3 Cup cars. Cool.
What's next? The Cayman?
Please. Please
Yes.
get them in GT4. Like,
Yeah.
Kevin, Larry, please.
You know what's missing? Just do it.
You gotta complete it.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I have an idea.
Oh, Lord. There she goes.
Let's do a Macan in the N24 next year. I want to see how far up into the field Kevin and Larry and whichever other really high-level Porsche drivers they stick in that car with them could get an SUV into the Nürburgring 24-hour standings.
This just reminds me when we were like looking at stats of the Porsche road cars.
Yes.
That one day. We've gone back to this.
Oh, that one, what was it? That, like, was one of the fastest road cars they make, and it was an SUV.
Yeah.
It was crazy. No, but I think that this is the next side quest that Kevin and Larry need to go on, is, in fact, rocking up to the Nürburgring 24 hours in an SUV.
I support it.
Do they need to... I don't know the answer to this. Do they need to do anything different to drive a random SUV in the race versus their, cars that are capable of winning the race?
I know
the car would need to be accepted. Like,
yeah. But
Manti,
that,
I've got an idea for you guys. Give me a Macan Manti version, and then stick Kevin and Larry in it for the race.
Probably
make it a
stupid
Grello.
question. Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do we paint it in the Grello colors? Obviously.
No, because the Grello's gonna be in the race. You can't have, like, Grello and Fat Grello.
No, I think we still can. I say
they could use
the Grello.
They could use the green Grello. No, they could use the green Grello for it.
Yeah.
Like the one that Guven uses in DTM. They could use that paint scheme.
I was thinking of that one. It reminds me of an avocado.
I like this plan. Manti, hit me up. I am in fact going to be at COTA this week, so we can discuss terms. Kevin and Larry, we can also discuss terms. Look, all of us are gonna be at COTA.
Yeah.
We can make this happen.
Business meeting.
Talk logistics.
Business meeting, exactly. Unfortunately, the business meeting's not gonna be at Chili's because Kevin replied to us on Twitter and said that Chili's is not a race weekend meal. Kevin, Carson Hocevar disagrees with you, so I think that Chili's should be a race weekend meal, and I think we should hammer out this Macan deal at Chili's.
Yeah.
Spice
Carson
it up.
Hocevar says it gives you multiple tenths. So if you want to go faster, you got to go to Chili's.
Exactly. I mean, we were talking about 24-hour races and a 24-hour race Kevin did. Was that drinking game
Were
or
we?
not? Because I was going. We're talking about Zolder.
Oh, it feels so long ago.
I know, because I was just about to say, jumping back from drinking game to Zolder, but I don't know that we actually got off topic. Because it says in the notes Zolder, and then right here it says Kevin. So, and right
doesn't
there it
specify.
says Porsche. So I
Yeah.
feel like Zolder, Porsche, and Kevin were all the topics we were talking about.
I don't know. I feel a bit tipsy.
It was definitely drinking game.
It
but
definitely was.
I was watching the Zolder live stream, which was literally just on YouTube from the track, and it kept crashing. It was not the best live stream. And then live timing went down overnight, like my overnight. So that was I wasn't able to see what happened, and during that time when I had no idea what was going on, apparently Kevin's car had a drive shaft failure, so they had to replace the drive shaft. They were running solidly in the top 3 at that point, and it dropped them a bunch of laps back. They finished P5. Those of you that know me know my theory about Kevin's pain and IndyCar. I guess Kevin wasn't too upset with the P5 because Penske double podiumed in IndyCar, and as we know, take all of Kevin's pain and give it to the IndyCar team has been pretty effective this year. So perhaps Kevin didn't have too much pain about this P5.
I don't
Who
know.
gave you this
Willpower
power?
might have something to say.
Yeah, but overall,
True.
I'm pretty sure a win in a P3 is pretty, like, Roger's not upset about that.
Yeah.
So, and then Lawrence Vantor came in P2. The car that finished P1 was P1 the entire race, like, ran away with it. No one was ever within, like, a lap of them. It was impressive. I don't know who they were. I didn't actually, like, pay attention to the cars that weren't Kevin and Larry's, unfortunately. But yes, so drivers, know if you do a random race, I will stay up and pay attention to it, even if it's on live timing and a spotty YouTube stream. And then we will talk about it for 10 minutes on the podcast.
Yes.
Great advertising.
That's a spotlight.
Right?
Yeah.
So then there was also GT World Challenge Europe this weekend. Lots of people we like were in that race. Some in
agree.
a little more in the race than others.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aries.
But
why?
Why?
I can practice saying Alessio's name the way he told us to say it.
Oh,
we haven't talked about Alessio since he told us how to say his name.
Yes.
Friend of the show, Alessio Picariello, as he told us to say it. Because, you know, here on the show, we are big fans of asking drivers how to correctly say their names, and then, sorry, Kevin, completely not saying them the correct way because, no, we can't say French noises.
He gave us a pass.
He did give us a pass, but Alessio and his teammates did, in fact, I guess I should name his teammates, Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller,
yeah.
finished P3. They are solidly still in the championship hunt. Good job to them.
Yes.
It was.
I realized thumbs up wasn't like something you can hear.
No.
No.
Watch the YouTube stream.
Yeah, well, go on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. I was gonna say, it was a decent race to follow. I know we're not big Ford Mustang people in here, but it was good to see them do well. At least it was a battle of the blue and yellow cars, and ultimately the Porsche prevailed.
Yes.
Yes.
And then additional friends of the show, Lauren Heinrich, Klaus Bachler, and then not friend of the show because we haven't interviewed him yet. And Shanguven finished P4. And I just gotta say, like, that lineup is one that Porsche might just look at sticking in a car.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, just stick them in a 963 next year. I don't move everybody else around somewhere and stick the three of them in a 963. Don't care where. Kick everybody out of Proton and put the three of them in Proton.
Basically,
Sounds like a plan.
You're telling them stage a coup.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she kind of is.
Yes. I guarantee that Proton will get some factory support if the three of them are in the car.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sorry, that was so wrong of me, but it's true.
It's true, though.
It's so true. It'll be a third PPM car without being a third PPM car.
Yeah. Well, still in line with Porsche's, Wright was in this race, as we talked about. They finished P28 and 6th in their class, but it's impressive to note that they did start from P56. So, did some decent making up of spots, and then Loke Hartog finished P4 in the bronze class. So, that's pretty much everyone that we needed to cover there.
It was him, Intari Zhao, and Morris Schuring? Is that who it was?
Yes.
Yes. Too many, like, lineups in my head to try to always know who is in what car. And then in GT World Challenge Asia, Bastian Boos won it along with some other stuff, like the team won.
Yeah, they got the championship.
I didn't even realize that they didn't have it yet, because I feel like Origin is just, like, dominating always in GT World Challenge Asia. Like, in everything in Asia, I feel like Origin just dominates. You may recall them as the team that Lauren was driving with in, what? What was he doing? Asian Le Mans series?
Yeah, Asian Le Mans. I was trying to think of all the things he's done.
Right, exactly. Because as we've already clarified, Lauren, and thank you for being humble in accepting your victory, you travel the world more than I do for sports cars. Now to news/rumors. Brian Herta Autosport announced they're doing LMP2 next year. That's awesome. We like Brian Herta. He is a friend of the show.
Yes, so and I think we already know who their biggest fan is going to be.
Yes.
You know?
I would not be shocked if Dana somehow makes Daytona work now.
Yeah.
Daytona 2, BHA edition.
LMP2?
This has to be... Right. Yeah, Daytona LMP2 in parentheses.
Yeah.
This has to be prep for the running the Genesis GTP program, right? Like, Brian had a quote, and we don't usually read quotes, but we like Brian, so we're gonna read a quote. The LMP2 platform gives us the opportunity to develop our personnel and systems in a way that prepares us to compete at the highest level. I mean, that sounds like they're running the Genesis GTP team, right?
Yeah. That's the biggest wink I've ever heard.
Well, and the thing is that BHA is already running with Hyundai.
Yeah.
Or, for all of our British listeners, Hyundai. They're already running with Hyundai, so it makes sense that they would end up with Genesis. It also sounds a lot like what EDEC is doing with the Genesis crew this year.
Yeah, the timeline. If when you look at it, it feels like we're watching the same thing happen a second year in a row. It's way too much, too many pieces falling into place at exactly the right time for it to be a coincidence.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense.
And I don't even know what other teams are possible. Like, is EDAC gonna come run over here in IMSA? Like, have they ever even run in IMSA?
I think maybe a Rolex 24 one-off, but I don't even remember which year, and I could be completely
Like,
high on something and being wrong.
IMSA is something that it really, like, when you listen to people that come over from only having operated in Europe, the fact that the actual race control, stewarding, manner of running the race is so different than stuff that the ACO runs proper or stuff that the SRO runs. Like, their way of doing everything is so different. IMSA has a very steep learning curve.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make it feels like to me like if EDEC was going to do this, they would be doing what BHA is doing and trotting their LMP2 cars across the pond. Ganassi is obviously always, anytime there's a GTP team that needs a operating partner, Ganassi comes up just because they currently don't have one. Does the timeline work out for Genesis to possibly end up with Penske based on what we suspect about when Penske may be dropping Porsche in IMSA?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I've just thrown a
That's not
spanner
in the
into the
notes.
works.
I just threw that out there. I think we all know they're probably going with Ford if Ford ends up in IMSA.
Yeah,
But it's fun to think.
it is. Well, we're just wargaming lineups as we
Yes.
usually like to do.
Yeah.
And a name that was in an article I read, but apparently it's not as connected as it potentially could have been, is Pratt Miller. Because, like, they are a team that stepped up to LMP2 this year, so it makes sense. But at the same time, they're obviously known for their GM connection, because if you don't follow IMSA, they run the factory Corvette effort. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they would make this work, but it was a name that was thrown out there, and it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
like, if this LMP2 effort that they're doing is just a way to earn some extra bronze driver revenue, or if it's just a one-time thing and they're gonna leave next year because they didn't secure a GTP manufacturer, and BAJ is gonna take their place.
Definitely possible.
Gives that kind of vibe.
I thought the Pratt Miller thing was them getting ready and sticking around for if the SC63 program did not go on a pause. That was the way I always looked at their step up, was they were going to be there ready to, when Riley said we can't do this anymore, they were going to step in and say we think we can. But Lamborghini obviously put the program on a pause, so that is not happening. Exactly, on a pause. But Genesis did give a very interesting little nugget of news that they're basically pulling a PPM with their lineups. What PPM is doing this year in WEC, with having two primary drivers with a third driver doing select other races, which we know means basically everything. I was initially thinking that Andre Lauder and Pippo Durrani were going to be the anchor drivers for two separate cars. But with this announcement, I have a theory. Hear me out on my theory.
Let's go again.
Andre and Pippo in one car, and then you take the, I would argue, very successful duo of Danny Uncadella and Mathis Gilbert for the, they have been doing the LMP2 for the other car, because they're already working together. They're a successful pairing. Why split those up, and why split Andre and Pippo up?
I like your theory.
I like my
I like
theory
the
too.
theory, even though it hurts my GM heart a little bit.
Well, so speaking of GM, is Danny a dark horse for the Jensen Button seat? Because I know everybody thinks Mick Schumacher has that on lock, but everybody always thinks Mick Schumacher has everything on lock, and he never really does. That was something I haven't read that anywhere, but I was thinking, the man drives for GM already, so why couldn't he just continue to drive for GM?
I think it makes a lot of sense, personally.
Yeah.
Honestly, all I'm gonna say is if I am Yunkadea, I am relishing the fact that I have potentially 2 GTP factory efforts interested in me.
Right?
Yeah.
Suddenly I've become one of the hottest pieces of real estate there is for the next season. Whoa.
I still want to know which teams Graham and Steven were referring to when they said half of the teams on the grid are going to have a driver lineup change. Now, that could literally just be one driver. It could literally be, because they didn't say half the cars, they said half the teams. That could be Matthew Jaminet not being the third driver in the 5 next year and somebody else filling that role. And there's one team. We know that Joda already definitely has a change coming. We know pretty sure that we know for certain that Peugeot has a change coming.
Oh, yeah?
Because they have actually announced Nick Cassidy now. So, there's 2 for sure. We know that Ferrari definitely doesn't in the red cars, but that doesn't mean that there's not a change in the yellow car coming up. So, that could be a third team. It's there's a lot of little changes that could happen. I wonder how long Dries is going to try and do both series, and he seems like he's performing better in IMSA than he is in WEC. How
Could
long
use the
is
same argument for Earl.
I was just gonna say, which series does Earl really want to focus on? Especially where Daytona is the thing preventing Earl from being the second Nick Tandy. Daytona is the only race that Earl needs for Mr. 24 Hours. Focusing a little more on IMSA might make sense for Earl, but likewise, driving that car as much as possible makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the balance.
Yeah. And then this is pure news, but because it is relevant to some of our listeners, we decided we would talk about it. Mike Conway is not racing at COTA because of a collarbone injury. Now, I'm pretty sure he had a collarbone injury announced prior to Le Mans that he's been nursing through, and he finally failed clearance to race, is the way that I read this. So I'm assuming he failed an extraction test or he failed some other physical test because it said he was not cleared to race. And I do remember him being injured earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And he is going to be replaced in the car by Jose Maria Lopez from Lexus. And then Jack Hawksworth is going to be in the Lexus. We know Jack, obviously, from IMSA. I think that we talk a decent amount about Vassar Sullivan here, so
Right?
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just good timing. We've got one Vassar boy coming back with Lexus because Ben is coming back in the other Lexus. So now you've got 2 Vassar boys for COTA.
Yes. And I think it's great, press, right? To make sure that you've got 2 guys that primarily race in America in the US round
Yes.
for this. Like, they could have picked someone other than Jack for the 87, but I think picking Jack for, like you said, the connection with Vassar is a genius move by Toyota. That's the nicest thing I'm probably ever going to say about Toyota.
You're welcome, Toyota.
I feel like some of our listeners are gonna be raising an eyebrow when they heard you say that.
Actually, I was talking to our friend Jody earlier about, we were talking about Porsche. We were talking about Porsche fumbling like amazing talents, and we were talking about Brendan Hartley, and I was saying how Brendan Hartley is like one of the nicest people I've ever met. So that might have been the nicest thing I've said about Toyota all day, but this is the second nicest thing I've said about Toyota all day.
But that is correct, though, about Brendan, so...
Yeah. Yeah, we were going through lists of people that drive for other teams that used to be Porsche drivers, and Porsche needs to do a better job at keeping the people I like with Porsche. Especially Earl and Brendan and Andre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically those three, okay?
Specifically those three.
Porsche, you could have done better.
Yes. But, I guess switching over to IndyCar, it does sound like all of the IndyCar news is going to drop on Tuesday. And since we record on Monday and release on Wednesday, it both hasn't happened and has already happened, so we're not going to go too far into the silly season rumors. But I did make a list. And it's of things Colton Herta should do instead of F2. Because when his 2023 points go away, he will have 34 super license points. So he'll need to get 6 points in 2026 to be super license eligible for the 2027 season. My list that I came up with was coming in 7th in Formula 3, coming in 6th in Formula E, coming in 8th in Hypercar, coming in 5th in Freck, coming in 7th in Super Formula, coming in 3rd in LMP2, and that can be IMSA, Asian Le Mans, or European Le Mans, coming in 2nd in USF Pro, or coming in 5th in Formula Regional Americas. He also, I looked this up and I already forgot, he could do like the really logical thing and, just come in 6th in IndyCar next year. That would give him 6 points. I don't know what the purpose of going to Europe or doing any of these silly series that I suggested, when all he has to do is come in 6th in the series that he's already been competing in since he was a teenager, is on the table. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Colton, get your stuff together. We're on about IndyCar. And, just this weekend, a bit early, because we were still in August, but it was the season finale. We went racing in circles around Nashville. It was a very fun race, and something that I think probably the highest point of the whole thing for me, Kyffin Simpson, another good performance, finishing in P4. He had a very good fight with Scott McLaughlin in the final few laps. The graphics were a bit misleading when the race ended, though, because I kept on celebrating, thinking, oh yes, he got a podium. He didn't. He came fourth.
Yeah, they were side by side for the last 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredibly impressive car control from Kyffin, because and honestly from Scotty Mac too, to go too wide lap after lap after lap like that is crazy. It, I think, really shows how far Kiffin has come with his ability to race on ovals. I don't think anybody was really surprised that Scotty Mack has that skill, that car control, but Kiffin only being in his second year, that is something that definitely surprised me. I was like, oh, well, they're both gonna crash. Like, as soon as they were going around too wide like that, like, I thought for sure that was going to end in a crash, and then it just didn't. The other,
So
like, story for me with this race was nobody seemed to want to win it. It just seemed like leading that race for any period of time was cursed.
Yes.
yeah, honestly, I'm still
It,
surprised Joseph cracked his winless streak. I thought it was
yeah,
just going to be another Penske moment of 2025.
I certainly did as well. I did like what Pato Award had to say to Firestone
Yeah.
about the tire compounds. Like, and he's right. They need to make sure they make a tire compound that is safe for the drivers. There were a concerning number of front right failures in that race. Not all of them resulted in big dramatic crashes. I mean, I think that his was the most dramatic crash from
Yeah,
the front right going down, but he said something that I think not enough drivers talk about. They're the ones slamming into the wall at 200 miles an hour when a tire compound fails. The people in the lab, the people at Firestone that are making the tires, they really don't have skin in the game. The drivers trust that they give them a safe tire, and if they don't, it's the driver that's crashing at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, like, that right there is the maturity that I would like to see, and I think a lot of people would like to see out of Pato Award going forward, right? To be the guy that's willing to step up and make a bold statement like that to, a component provider.
yeah.
To call out a component provider in a spec series takes a lot of guts. So for him to, that was the first thing basically he said when Fox interviewed him after his DNF.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's the Pato I miss, and I'm happy to see at least a little of it coming back.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I did really like the way that he presented it too. It wasn't in a joking manner, because I agree. Pato used to say stuff, but he'd say it in a semi-unserious manner, right? Like, he would call stuff out, but it would be like, more like the way I said it. Like, oh, Firestone doesn't have any skin in the game. They're just waiting for us to crash into the wall at 200 miles an hour. He presented it in a very measured manner, like something I'd expect a Will Power, a Scott Dixon level person to say. So, I've obviously been a big critic of Pato on this show, and I really do need to give him credit for saying something that needed to be said and saying it in such a level-headed way.
yeah. All I can say is that I was surprised by the amount of issues that people were facing, because it's not like
Mm-hmm.
Firestone jumped in the game yesterday, and it's not like they're not used to making tires for IndyCar that's been racing on oval since forever. So that, I don't know, something felt odd. Something felt out of.
Before people jump on us and say, oh, it's the only concrete oval on the calendar, we know it is.
Yeah.
So does Firestone.
Exactly.
So they do tons of tire testing there. Like, they do a ton of tire testing at Nashville because it's the only concrete oval on the calendar.
That was
So,
actually something Pato brought up in his interview, was he had a
yes,
tire failure in a test at Nashville.
right. So, I yeah, it's shocking to me that there were that many of the same issue. And hopefully it is something that Firestone addresses.
Yep. Something else that needed to be addressed, and well, I guess was it was addressed, but in the end, someone was sent to the hospital. With driving standards, I feel like we're always touching on driver standards here.
Always on about driving
We,
standards.
yeah, week in and week out, and this time it was Louis Foster. Uh, he was already a lap behind, and David Malukas was trying, obviously, to get around him. He was being unnecessarily forceful. Well, we all saw how it ended, and thankfully, David is in one piece in good condition, like he already posted online. But yeah, it's not something you want to see, especially from a rookie who, ironically, took Rookie of the Year honors.
Yeah. It would the how slow David was getting out of the car, the fact that he got airlifted to the hospital, the fact that he is still to some extent nursing his wrist injury from last year. Like, there was just a lot of scary stuff about that crash. It was like, did he re-injure his wrist? Did he get a concussion? Like, did he break some ribs? What happened? And obviously, no, it was precautionary. We know that now. But in the moment, sitting there being like, this was an unnecessary crash that caused a driver to get airlifted to a hospital. I mean, that I get the whole being able to fight to not get past at any point and the lack of blue flags in IndyCar. Like, I get that that's something that IndyCar says, oh, this is our thing that we do, but there are several races this year that have been really impacted by it. I mean, you can also look at Alex Palou failing to clear lapped traffic when he was getting chased by the two Penske's that I believe cost him the win of the race.
Yeah,
Like, I like being able to fight to keep your spot, but at the same time, it is messing with the outcome of races.
yeah. I think I said that in one of our 3,600 group chats. I think I said
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it feels like we've seen this before, and we did in fact see it. I thought of Indianapolis. I have the race in my mind right now, but I'm forgetting. Like, I think it was a road course race that we saw something similar to. We think
Yeah.
we're gonna get potentially, I don't know, a lead battle or something as the laps are winding down, and then you get traffic affecting everything, and nobody is able to get around it. I think it's getting a bit overboard, this no blue flag sort of situation.
To
Yeah.
me, there's like an extent to it. Like, it didn't need to get to this extent where a driver is being airlifted to the hospital because another car is being so crazy about driving, like fighting to stay on the lead lap. Like, I feel like there is a line to the extent of fighting to keep your position, and that line just felt like it was taken to a extreme.
It felt like maybe that he should have been pulled from the race. Like, that was a blatant disregard of any safe driving standards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, to me, it's also for the Rookie of the Year contest, that came down to also in the end, it seemed like Robert had that, like, secured at the very end because of the situation. And then Robert also got a penalty for impeding. But if you look at their two situations, very different situations, even there, of what it was.
I'll say Robert's impeding was clear cut, but it
Yes.
was a impeding is a lesser offense, in my opinion, than driving a guy to crash.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, to
Defending so
me,
hard. Yeah.
these
It
seemed like they should have been two differently handled penalties.
Yeah, and it's just because of when Louis happened versus if Roberts had happened early in the race, he could have gotten the spots back. He still would have got it. It's just it happened basically at the end of the race. And just to see Rookie of the Year come down to a decision of a penalty, just it's unfortunate. Don't love that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really is a fan of seeing it. It takes takes a bit of the luster away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, it didn't feel like people were super amped up about this Rookie of the Year battle this year anyways. It was with the exception of, I guess, the polls, the rookies did nothing. Like, with the exception of getting pole position, there was nothing super duper exciting that happened, as opposed to, I think, the past couple years where you saw rookies like really, really performing.
Yeah. Last year you had rookies get podiums.
Right. Oh. And the year before, Rookie of the Year was won by someone who didn't contest the entire season. Like, Marcus got Rookie of the Year without doing the ovals.
Which is still crazy.
One of the most impressive things I have seen in racing, truly. Like, you don't do the whole season and you still manage Rookie of the Year honors. Like, it almost felt like he still should have been considered a rookie last year.
Yeah.
Even though he won Rookie of the Year, he did a partial season. Like, I know he competed in enough races because of how few ovals there are in Indy that, like, it did qualify as a full season, but it just felt like he still should have been considered a rookie last year, honestly.
Yeah. I just think it's hard to compare this rookie battle, especially with the way the last two have been.
Yes, puppy dogs wanting attention. Hello, Seb Dog. Hello, Seb Dog. Okay.
Well, my thing is that I ripped it off of you because you mentioned it today. The curse of the car number 21 not making it out of lap one in both IndyCar and NASCAR.
Yeah, but like not even just that. They both didn't make it out of turn 2. They both crashed on lap 1 at turn 2. Like the fact of that being that specific is just crazy. I can't think of the last time.
I think that Christian Rasmussen crashing on lap 1 probably deflated so much air out of Nashville when that happened. Like, I think that a lot of people were there and they were like, okay, this car looks fast here. Let's see what he can do coming off this win. And then for him to crash on lap 1 and be out of the race just deflated some of the hype about the race.
It hurt. It hurt even just like watching it on TV. So
yeah, man. And then for a minute there, it looked like Ed Carpenter Racing was going to go back to back because it looked like Rossi was going to pull off. Like, Rossi, I'd say after Scott Dixon, is probably the best fuel saver in IndyCar.
We've seen it,
and it looked like he was going to pull off a wild fuel save and be able to save an entire pit stop. He obviously wasn't. I think he came up about 5 laps short, but that looked like it was going to be crazy there for a minute if they were going to be able to go back to back. Talk about new ownership coming in and upending a team.
Yeah. Once again, back to everyone's favorite segment. Sprite versus Coke. But this time...
I sent this one to you.
Yes, this time brought to Nick, but also brought to you by the driver's sponsors, because they were asking the drivers a bunch of questions, and Bubba Wallace got asked about his, like, go-to, like, McDonald's order, He gets a number 5, which is like the nuggets, but with a Sprite. So you can add him to your team Sprite. We did also then get SVG. He got asked his favorite American food, which obviously, because he's sponsored by Wendy's, he said Wendy's. He, however, did not provide his soda of choice. Very disappointed, sir.
Okay, so obviously we are going to the WEC race at Coda. Everybody reply to us and let us know if you think we should ask every WEC driver we interact with whether they're Team Coke or Team Sprite. Because I think that would be fun content, but I don't know if people want to know more about our Sprite vs. Coke battle. So, yeah, comment and reply whether we should ask all the WEC drivers about Sprite vs. Coke.
Yes,
Well,
because obviously, it's everyone's favorite segment.
I'm not gonna be there,
Aries,
so I
then
vote
give
yes.
your input.
I vote
Okay,
yes.
there we go.
One vote
for yes. One
Awesome.
vote for yes. 10-4. Sounds good. Okay. Away from soda talk into Xfinity, and there was a lot going on there, including cars on fire, the footwell of DiBendito's car was on fire, to where we saw just a clip of him just like jumping out of the car, but it looked like he fell out of the car. Apparently that was because his laces for his boots were like wrapped around the pedals, and he literally couldn't get out of the car and had to try like 3 times to get out of the car, and then threw off his boots because they were literally on fire. Not something you like to see at all in a race, and definitely
Nope.
a very scary moment because nobody really knew what was going on at first. So
Yeah, it was. I can say it was a bit of an eye opener. It actually helped me wake up the next morning because I was asleep by the time Xfinity was on, and then so I missed the whole thing. And then the next morning, the first thing I see when I'm opening Twitter is people discussing this incident, and I'm like, did this actually happen? And well, yeah, it was. I can't imagine it was a fun situation to be in.
no, definitely not. Connor Zolish won the race and then proceeded in his interview to say, "It hurts so good," which I'm just gonna be flat out. Dale Jr. definitely told Connor that he could say that, considering they literally had shirts made with that on it, all ready to hand to him once he crossed the finish line and got out of the car.
That was very good, like, marketing and everything, though, because they did have him, like, he has shown that he's a good marketing person. He's said as fast as Xfinity Mobile a billion times this season. So, like, if you give him a line to say, he'll say it. So that was pretty cool. And then to immediately have the shirts ready to go, great marketing from Junior Motorsports.
Yes. Great job. Especially because, like, the whole celebration, he did change his celebration because of his injury. It was him, like, slowly coming out of the roof hatch and then sitting on the roof. And then when he went out of the car, went out through the window, and then very clearly, like, to the cameras, took the window screen and, like, flipped it inside. So they definitely played into the whole thing for this post-race celebration. Once again, though, in this NASCAR Cup Series race, if anyone is looking for a job, pit crews might be needing some shuffling because, once again, just pit crews were really struggling this race. The 48...
Did you just get cut from the 53-man roster on your NFL team? NASCAR pit crews are probably hiring, and, like, according to everything I've seen, they really like football players. So,
yes,
stay in shape and work for NASCAR while you're waiting for your next call to, go be an offensive lineman again.
Yeah. I will give you some teams who you should look at. The 48 Alex Bowman's wheel gun failed, and then the backup wasn't connected, so when they went to use the backup, it didn't work. I feel like that's something you should have set up and prepared in case you need it, but that's just me personally. Very similar situation to Bubba Wallace when he lost his tire in the pits. William Byron, his tire was also loose, but luckily, his wheel carrier realized it, stopped the car, and they were able to push him back into his pit to fix it. But I feel like that's something we shouldn't be having so many issues with. Hamlin's Jackman just keeps putting the car down before he should put the car down. And Brad Kozlowski, very similar to Bubba Wallace, drove away. His tire wasn't completely on, so he stopped at Joey Logano's box, and they put the tire on for him completely. And then also there was just cars spinning in the pits, because Carson Hocevar and Bell did make contact as well. So really just the pits, a lot of action this race.
And you,
Yeah.
one of those instances when someone just hexed the whole pit lane before the night before the race or something. I don't know. I feel like nothing explains this. It feels like whenever there is a big mistake and another one follows, you know it's gonna be one of those dangerous races to be working in the pit lane.
Yeah.
And I will say in the F1 race, there were some messy pit stops, but I think every pit stop was under safety car, so it didn't actually matter. Like, McLaren had some messy pit stops, but because they were under the safety car, it just didn't matter. Like, were those, normal pit stops? Honestly, like, obviously Lando's car broke, but Lando probably might not have come in P2 had his car kept functioning because of those pit stops if they hadn't been under safety car. That's how bad those pit stops were.
Which is
And
very
granted,
unlike McLaren.
They might not have been double stacking the way they did, because they did. They double stacked every time because of the gap that they had right when, because they went in as soon as safety car was called both times.
Mm-hmm.
And because Oscar had enough of a gap on Lando, they were able to make that work. But that's just very unlike McLaren, and it really surprised me. And then I think that the biggest news out of the weekend was that Isaac Hajar, which I need to find out whether this is another I don't know French thing, because the broadcast kept on saying Isaac Hajar, and I want to know whether it's Isaac or Isaac. This is like the way that some people say IDEC and some people say EDEC. That's exactly what I said to my family when they were like, why are they saying Isaac? I'm like, well, it's like this French LMP2 team, but no, like, his podium was obviously off the back of Lando's DNF, but it was so much fun. Like, he had no idea where to go to jump into the crowd. He had no idea where to go once he got up on the stage where the podium was. Like, he had to do a little 360 loop because he went to turn to the left and he's like, oops, that's wrong. Spun around all the way and then went back. His little attempt at conversation with Oscar and Max it's like when you get, a younger teenager trying to talk to the older teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, what do you think about this part of the track? Like, it was adorable. It was awkward. I loved it. I love seeing rookies perform,
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. And then he broke the internet by breaking the trophy.
Yes.
I am not sure how that trophy broke, because he was just holding it.
Yeah.
And then it broke.
Well, if you, look at the video, you would think it's, when he places it on the ground is when it breaks, but it's, right before it hits the ground that it snaps. So, it's not even that he, put it down at a weird angle.
I saw someone say that the material that is made out of is fragile enough that if you hold it hard enough, it'll break. So it may have just been that.
Yeah, I guess I can't be trusted with that material then. Clumsy person
Nope.
here. And well, speaking of clumsy and speaking of Isak, we all saw this at the start of the season. He was crying because he crashed before the race even started in Australia. So I guess we can say he's earned his redemption. I guess the naysayers have nothing to say now.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Orange Flag Pod on Twitter. Nicole is Nicole on Racing. Austin is Hendrik Claren, and Aries is at Aries_Alpenglow.
Stay orange.